Time for some finishing steps. Let's get our rig finalized, let's get it mirrored, and let's get it actually bound to the mesh so that we can see some deformations happening. Our next steps are going to happen in edit mode. So in testing my rig, and kind of before I got to the part of mirroring, I can move around my mesh here. Let's go to pose mode just to show you what I'm about to fix. And grab my mesh and move this around, and when I move it, it moves around everything that's part of its children structure, which is great, except we're losing our leg. And if you remember, we made a duplicate object and built our leg channel, so we got to create some parenting action there. We can parent in pose mode. You can hit Control P and it does a bunch of this stuff. We don't want that. That's actually going to bind it in a different way. Make sure we're in edit mode because we're actually trying to change the underlying structure of this. So grab the thigh, shift click the hips, and then Control P to parent and choose keep offset. That's going to cause it not to, we don't want it to freak out when that happens. So we've got that now set. So proof, go to pose mode, move this around, and our character bounces and wiggles as we expect, which is great. So that's first thing we need to do to clean up. Second thing we need to do to clean up is all of our IK targets are actually bones. Even though they don't look like it, they look like little spheres. They're all bones, and that means that they have a chance to deform our object when we do the final binding operation to our mesh. But we don't want these to actually deform our object. We don't want them to have any kind of influence, so we have to turn that off. One by one, select your IK targets. Click on the deform in the object bones properties. Find deform at the bottom right. Turn that off, please. Go to your elbow. Turn off deform. Go to your knee. Turn off deform. Go to your ankle. Turn off deform. So there's only, 4 of those to do, 2 IK targets and 2 pole targets. So it's not a lot, but just want to make sure you get that done before we mirror. All right, mirroring time. Select everything on the right side of your mesh. Let's go into edit mode. We'll do a box selection. Everything on the, we'll call it that, I guess it's the left side, but the right side, as you're kind of looking at it. And let's grab it something like that. We want it from the shoulder and the thigh on down. We want to grab all that stuff, including the IK targets and including the pole targets. And then up at the top, choose armature, symmetrize. It is an absolutely beautiful operation of mirroring everything, but here's where the magic is. Open your armature, and fingers L gets turned into fingers R. So it does an auto swap there of those labels. As long as you did them correctly with the space capital L, it will rename those all for you. So if you got that done right, congratulations. If you got it done wrong, you can undo this operation, go back through the naming process and get that cleaned up. It'll save you some time. All right, quick gut check. Let's go into pose mode. And looks like there's a little bit of weird sizing over here. Let's fix that. So we want that to be, let's scale that down a little. Let's make this small like we were expecting. I don't know why that got wacky, but whatever. Send that down. Weird. There you go. Good enough. All right, so we've got that taken care of. I don't know why it looks like it scaled up some of these items. Didn't carry the scale. These are fine. These guys are a little bit weird. So get those adjusted, and then now we're on our final step of connecting our bone structure to our mesh. Looks like there's a few things here that I might want to change, though. Let's make sure these few bones here are a little bit odd. Maybe the positioning is just slightly off. Let's get these in a good position. You want them in their natural resting state before you do the binding operation, because it's going to pull all of its bone influence when that first bind happens. So make sure things are pretty well good and cleaned up on your mesh before we do this next step. Looking pretty good. Here we go. Collapse your whole armature. I find it's easier to do this process that way. Select your character. Control click the armature. And then we want to Control P to parent. And this is in pose mode, by the way. Control P to parent. And we want with automatic weights. And when we do that, a few little minor changes may have taken place. You might see your foot, kind of collapse a little. Shouldn't see too much change. But if the weighting or the positioning was a little bit odd, we might see some weird stuff happening there. But for the most part, we should be good. And then it's going into our full pose mode and seeing if everything works out. So we can move our character's hand up, great. Move our hand in, great. We can move this hand down and in, fantastic. We can move our hips down, which bends our feet, our knees. Our feet are a little bit awkward. There might be some issues. Oh, I didn't put the follow through on our IK on our toes. So the same follow through that we added to our hands that allow us to rotate, we could put that on our feet if we'd like to clean that up a little bit. And so forth. But otherwise, our character is pretty well rigged. We could select this and go through the weighting process if we felt like anything was a little odd. There could be some weight issues that are impacting our ankles down here that we could look at. So there might be a few things that we want to clean up before going into our final poses, but for the most part, we've got our character pretty well rigged. Now you could throw a subdivision surface on this if you'd like, smooth it out a little bit, but otherwise the simple biped rigging process with IK, inverse kinematics, could be considered complete here.